Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Creation Myths. Real quick, I am recording this on the afternoon of November 7th, 2025, and I just learned a little while ago that James Watson of Watson and Crick fame died today at the age of 97. So I just want to share a couple of quick thoughts on James Watson. Now, you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead, but screw that. We're going to talk honestly about James Watson for just a couple of minutes here. So, the fact that James Watson was one of the most celebrated biologists in the world for decades and continued to get praise and speaking slots and honorary positions and awards and whatnot well into the 21st century is an embarrassment. James Watson was overtly sexist and racist, and everyone knew it. And everyone just kind of looked the other way because he's James Watson, right? He discovered the structure of DNA, so of course we can't just ostracize him, despite he's a terrible human being. We have to not just tolerate him, but celebrate him because of one paper he co-authored back in 1953. That type of thing needs to stop. It's not unique to biology, but it is a problem in biology. And here I am on this channel talking about things like, in addition to creationism, talking about things like the march of Christian nationalism in the United States, transphobic bigotry, and how that is anti-science and anti-reality, just in terms of how biology works. It would be inappropriate to ignore the fact that the field of biology has giant problems with this stuff, where we tolerate absolutely heinous behavior, speech, and beliefs in some of the biggest names in the field, looking at you, Richard Dawkins, because they are some of the biggest names in the field, instead of speaking out against them and, frankly, ostracizing them because of their anti-scientific positions that are grounded in bigotry and prejudice rather than biological reality. So I think the passing of James Watson is an appropriate time to point out, one, that let's not, get ahead of ourselves celebrating James Watson, okay? Not a good guy, and we don't have to pretend otherwise. But also, stepping back and looking at the bigger picture, the field of biology, like much of society, has this problem where if you are a big enough name and an important enough person, you are exempt from criticism for your behavior and the awful things you say and the awful beliefs you express. And that needs to stop, right? I think the field of biology in particular, because we're talking about things like race realism, or the newest euphemism is human biological diversity, things like transphobia, claiming that trans people aren't real, all that stuff, because these things are fundamentally claims about biology. The field of biology and the people practicing biology have an extra obligation to point that stuff out, to call it out for what it is, which is nothing more than anti-science bigotry, and ostracize the people who refuse to stop preaching it, right? And James Watson, his career is a great illustration of the failure to do that. And biologists in general need to kind of step up and start acting appropriately in the face of these beliefs, which are unfortunately becoming more and more common. So that is what I wanted to say on the date of the passing of James Watson. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.